All right, everything seems fine. Yeah, looks like it's good here. Just want to double check and see if audio's good. It's not starting here yet. Bear with me. Sorry about that. Um, okay, sounds good. Good. All right. So, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? Yep, the lens is right there. Okay, just want to make sure. Hey guys, what is going on? This is your boy Joshua here. How are you guys doing? Whoever is watching. Um, yeah. So I just decided wanted to do a stream. Northwestern Railway 66 says, "Hey Josh, hey man, thanks for joining. Glad you're here." Claude Kringa, Claude Kringa. I have no idea how to say your name. I'm so sorry. You already asked me a question, so you say thoughts on the SpongeBob musical live on stage. I'll probably talk about that just a little later. But let's see. Simumbo. Sorry, I'm Christ. Simobambo. I guess I really have no idea how to say your name. Sorry about that. But guys, as in the two people watching, four, well, three, yeah. I mean, it's whatever. Sometimes I say, "Hey guys, what's going on?" and nobody's here yet. So it's just yeah. But I hope everyone who is watching currently is had a good day today. Hopefully your week is starting out pretty well. Um yeah, so I kind of just decided wanted to do a stream mainly because I kind of want to let you guys know that I will be coming out with the video sometime. Most likely the video will be coming out tomorrow. I am currently doing a video. I mean, I already recorded. I actually recorded it. Is it Friday or Saturday? I think I recorded Saturday, or was it Sunday? No, I think I recorded Sunday. One of those days. Either way, I recorded a video. And now my editor, Alex, he is currently editing the video right now. Because he was kind of busy with certain things. So now, yeah, so he is trying to get the video done by tonight, but I'm definitely not going to be uploading it too late. So most likely the video will be uploaded tomorrow. Now, you're probably wondering what the video is going to be about. And don't ask me why I kind of want to keep it a secret until tomorrow. But all I can tell you is that it's based off of a series, an animated series that I recently saw. It's on one of the streaming sites. If you're able to guess it, awesome. But I'm not gonna tell you what it is. But yeah, just that's all I can tell you is that it's kind of a somewhat of a series, and I've recently just watched it, and yeah, you'll see what it is tomorrow. So again, if you guys can guess, then yeah, and I already told you Northwestern Railway since we're friends on Facebook. I already told you what it is, so yes, kibosh. Thank you. But yeah, either way, video will be coming out sometime tomorrow. So that's all I can really say about it. Um, yeah, interesting. So that's kind of why I decided to kind of stream to let you guys know that there's a video, but also because I just wanted to chat with you guys. This week has definitely been, well, I mean, the start of the week, might I add, has definitely been pretty interesting. Also, before I continue, I'm going to give you guys. I haven't posted a podcast yet. I'm probably gonna try to record a podcast maybe after today. I mean, well, after what am I talking about? Maybe after the stream, and maybe not. I'm not quite sure. I'm not even sure if I can really do it tomorrow. I might be a bit too tired to even try to do a podcast, and I might not even know what to talk about. But either way, I'm gonna give you guys. Oof, that's another link. I'm gonna give you guys a link. It's already in the description box down below. So if you still want to check out the podcast, then you can. I have I think, how many episodes have I posted so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 podcasts on the website right now. So 5 are currently up. So if you want to check them out, go ahead. Even though, well, technically I got 4 because the first one was just an introduction, I should say, to the podcast, and technically I only have about 4 episodes up. So if you guys are willing to check that out, or if you want to check that out, it would mean a lot if you guys were to check it out. I'm again trying to get that more, trying to to get that more out there as well. So I definitely do want to where am I? Okay, there I am. I definitely do want to get that started up again. So again, link is in the description, but I'm also gonna put it in the chat right here. So there it is. If you guys want to check out the stream, then go ahead. So yeah. So as I was saying before, this week has definitely been, or the beginning of the week has definitely been interesting. Mainly because yesterday was honestly very busy for me. Yesterday I was supposed to do, because as you guys know, I do these like performances. Actually, let me quickly. One Mikey joined the stream, says, "Hey Josh, what's up? How you doing? Doing pretty good. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. I'm not sure if you've joined a lot of times. I don't know. It seems like it's kind of the first time. I don't know. It could be. I'm not really sure. Um, Simobabo, I guess, is, did you get Disney Plus? No, not really planning on it, to be honest. Kalade says opinions on, I'll get to that later. Crash Bandicoot says, yo, what's up? I'm glad that you joined. And you, Simobabo, I think, is your podcast on Castbox. No, it's not, actually. Thanks for mentioning that. If you, as you know, my podcast is under the Bun Bun Podcast. You can find it on Google Podcasts. You can find it on Breaker, Radio Public. I think that's one of the names. You can find it on Spotify. I think there's other places you can find it as well. I think, yeah, Pocket Casts as well. Yeah, so as I said, Breaker, Google Podcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Spotify. I think I'm gonna try to get it on some other sites as well. Because Anchor kind of basically distributes it to other podcast streaming services as well, free of charge. So that's pretty cool. So yeah. So if you want to listen to it in any of the other podcast listening sites that I just listed, then you can go ahead and do that. But yeah, going back to what I was saying. And yeah, I never heard of Castbox before, so I'll probably try to do that and see how that goes. Excuse me. But anyway, yeah, so as you guys know, if you've, been watching these streams a while, because I kind of mentioned it multiple times, because sometimes I would be coming back home from these performances, and then I would be end up doing a stream, someone on the same day. But yeah, I do these performances where I teach these kids about, we're in California, we're in the middle of a drought, we gotta save water, and blah, 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 and all that stuff. So I was supposed to do 2 performances yesterday, and I drove all the way up to the valley. I live in Southern California, around Inglewood or so, and that's a pretty far drive for me. It took me like basically around 48 minutes to get there. Thankfully, because I have like this fast track system where I can get into like a toll lane and pass traffic, so that kind of saved me some time. But I was supposed to do 2 shows, 2nd grade and 3rd graders, and thankfully it was gonna be at like 10:30, because when I have to do shows all the way up in the valley, and it's like, say at 9 o'clock, not 9 o'clock, if it's like, say at 8:30 in the morning, that is very hard for me to do. Like, traffic is worse at that time, and it's hard for me to get up so early nowadays, because I don't really get up that early anymore, because there's kind of no reason for me to. And usually when I'm doing my other job, I don't really get up that early. Like, I usually work at like 11 o'clock or something. Sometimes they'll have me working at 9 o'clock, which I'm working at 9 o'clock tomorrow, so that's going to be interesting. But either way, so I was supposed to do 2 performances, and the school, like, when we got there, the school ended up getting a blackout. So we couldn't do the performance because the auditorium was way too dark for any kids to see anything. And it was also too dark for us to really see anything too, so it would have been pretty difficult. I'm sure if there was enough light, like say if there were windows and we could still somehow like see, we probably would have still done those 2 performances. Now, on the plus side though, we still get paid for those shows. So even though we had to cancel and move the performances to another day, sometime next year in January, I believe, we're still getting paid for these two shows because it's an inconvenience, of course, but it wasn't our fault that it ended up getting canceled. So of course, and I'm gonna just lower this down just a little bit, but it wasn't our fault that they ended up having a excuse me, a power outage. So because of that, we're still gonna get compensated for the show, which is great. Because me driving all the way up there, you better give me something. You know what I mean? But honestly, it worked out because I recently have been talking with my agent slash manager, I guess. And he actually called me the 2 days before. He called me on Saturday. Was it Saturday? I think he called me. No, he called me Friday night. And it was Saturday I ended up going up to Hollywood to talk to him about certain things. Because he really wants to. He's been submitting me to a lot of like projects, basically so I can be in them and try to get auditions and what have you. And I haven't been getting called to be in any auditions, so what he wanted me to do is essentially change my image. So like, because the first time around, like last year, he gave me a complimentary headshot session. I brought my own wardrobe, like bright colors and everything, to give me a certain type of look for cast directors to look at in a certain kind of category. And so now, apparently, since like that category, which I think was probably like a young high school kid, because you look at me, I look pretty young. I also sound pretty young too. So like people still confuse me for being like maybe 17 or so sometimes. I mean, that's when I don't have this pathetic beard, or I guess you could call it a neck beard when you think about it. But yeah, so like he's trying to change that. I guess that look is still a bit more competitive, and so that's why I haven't really been called in a lot. So now, yesterday I ended up having a headshot session with him. He brought some more clothes over so I could put them on and have like a different look for these headshots. And he definitely I still kind of look like a quirky person. Like that was still the kind of look that he was going for when it came to these photo shoots. But I ended up kind of looking, I guess, more adult in a way, if that makes any sense. So now going from this high school type of guy type category, I guess, now I'm going towards, I guess, the quirky adult. I don't know how he basically would explain it. Like, I don't think he fully told me what the category was, but I knew what he was going for. Like, it was definitely a different look. And it's not me. You know what I mean? I mean, first of all, I'm an actor. So, like, if I were to be doing anything, it wouldn't be me in the first place, most likely. But even though I wouldn't mind wearing some of the stuff he gave me. Like, I had, like, a denim jacket on with, like, a purple shirt over it. It kind of had, like, the denim collar kind of hanging out, that kind of thing. Or, I don't know. It's, like, certain different types of clothes that I don't have in my wardrobe. So it was definitely a different look. Saw some of the pictures and I was like, yeah, that looks a lot different from the last time, and it looks honestly kind of better. And the reason actually why he kind of like out of nowhere ended up calling me and saying, hey, we need to talk with each other and we need to, update your pictures and everything, is because apparently after the holidays, or kind of almost up to now, their pilot season is about to start, or is about to take off, so he's wanting to submit me a lot so I can possibly get into a lot of pilots and see where that goes from there, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so it was interesting because like when I did these when I was supposed to do these performances, it was supposed to be from 10:30 to 12, because again, had two performances, and the show's only about like 30-45 minutes, give or take. And sometimes we have to cut it down shortly because sometimes we don't have the time to do the whole show. Like, we'll cut out a song, or we'll cut out a child participation selection or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's I had like stuff to do at that moment. So like, because it was canceled, I was already up in that area, so I just drove to Hollywood, kind of hung out around like Hollywood and Highland Center. Because I'm gonna be honest, if this is anybody who ever, like, if you don't live in California and you're ever wanting to visit LA, it's a nice place, but there's also coming from a local, it's, I don't. I mean, there's a lot of good things about LA, but you know, there's some places where you just like I'm tired of this town. Mainly the traffic. Like the traffic is just ridiculous all the time. But Hollywood, however, it's not as glamorous as you think. Okay, or let's put it this way: there's only like maybe one or two sections of Hollywood that's really worth going to, because like the rest of the street is kind of just like danky, kind of smells weird. People are often kind of smoking weed, and that usually happens like at 12, and almost everybody that's younger are already in bed. But you know what I mean. But like, yeah, there's only like certain parts of Hollywood that's actually nice and worth visiting. But sometimes that area can even get a little annoying. For me, when I go to Hollywood, I only like really visit where, say, the Dolby Theater is, because they have like this whole complex. So it's, yeah, so I always go over there because they have like certain shops and certain restaurants over there, and that's kind of like my favorite place to visit. Kind of like my only favorite place to visit, besides like, say, the El Capitan or the Pantages Theater when I see some musicals. I'm gonna see Frozen in like somewhat soon on not on Broadway, in Hollywood. As tired as I am of Frozen, I am gonna see the musical, so I'm gonna see it pretty soon. So I'm kind of excited about that. But yeah, you know, like I kind of hung out a little bit in Hollywood, and you know, just waited to do the photo shoot. So that was kind of my day yesterday. It was pretty eventful, but I still got home in a good amount of time, like around 3 o'clock. So I still have the rest of the day to be able to just relax. So yeah, there's that. Thankfully today was kind of a free day, and so tomorrow I go back to work again. I'm gonna be tired because I got to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning. I mean, because I usually get up at like maybe 8:30 or 9 o'clock or something. So yeah, but I'm sure it's gonna be a good day of work. Hopefully it doesn't rain, because it has been raining a lot recently. So yeah, I mean, we'll see, I guess. But yeah, so I think that's kind of all. Well, this week, the other thing that I'm also going to be doing this week is I think this Friday I'm going to be going over to Knott's Berry Farm. They have this Christmas. I mean, of course, obviously, almost every theme park has like a Christmas overlay. Of course, when it comes to the holidays. And in 2 weeks, I'm going to be going to Disneyland as well, the day after Christmas. I'm not sure if that's the best idea, but hey, screw it. I mean, somebody's paying for my ticket, so that's definitely something that I am gonna do. You know, like they're paying for my ticket, so it's like, screw it, why not? The only thing I gotta pay for is parking, which is fine. I'm totally okay with that. And also, I get to see family again. I get to see my godbrother, get to see godmother, my godsister, and her husband. Who again, they recently got married this year, so that's cool. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what else I can really say, I guess, but that's gonna be pretty cool. Yeah, but I guess that's kind of all I really have to say when it comes to the rest of this week. Excuse me. So, yeah, is there really anything else to mention? Well, oh, yeah, well, you might as well mention this. Because Claude, I think that's how you say your name. Again, if I'm messing up your name, I apologize. Claude or Claude, maybe? I don't know. But the first question and the first comment on the entire stream was from Claude saying, thoughts on the Spongebob musical live on stage. Yeah, so, as you guys probably knew, if you were watching Nickelodeon for the past week or past couple of weeks, you guys would know that SpongeBob had a musical, and they recently aired it on Saturday night at 7 o'clock. It was funny because, like, for a while, like, throughout the week, people were just lambasting the entire production, saying it looks like it's cringe, it's awful. Some people were confused as to why they looked like humans and why they don't actually look like sponges and they don't actually look like fish and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh my god, are these people stupid? Are they stupid? This is a Broadway production, for Christ's sake. Like, they're not gonna have these characters in these huge foam costumes to actually make them look like there's already been a production that looked like that. It was in the UK, and it was based off of one of the Spongebob special episodes, Sponge Who Can Fly. If you guys ever look that shit up, there's a clip on it on YouTube, and these characters, these actors, are literally dressed up to look exactly like the characters. There's a guy that actually has a sponge costume, not actually made out of sponge, but he is in a costume that's literally square, and it looks weird. He got Squidward. He's got like the Squidward head, and then Patrick looks like a star, and then you have Mr. Krabs that has the eyes on top of his head. It looks ridiculous, but at the same time, that's the kind of production it was. It was one of those live productions where it's like, oh, Fairly Odd Parents live, where you have like these big foamed heads, you know, walking around the stage waving, and it's like a record. You know what I mean when it comes to that. But it was funny because like there was a couple of people who were complaining about why they didn't look like the characters and whatnot. I'm like, oh my god, you guys gotta be stupid. It was just insane. But then you had all of these people who were complaining about the fact that this musical existed, and they're like, oh, why is Nickelodeon creating this? We gotta cancel the musical. And it's like, first of all, this thing was already, and this is probably something a majority of people don't know, because I, of course, knew because I'm following a lot of people who were in the SpongeBob musical, so I know a lot of intel on that. But they filmed this musical a month ago. Essentially a month ago from when they aired it. So they filmed it, I think, around November 7th and November 8th. They had 2 days of filming. And yeah, so it's already been filmed, so obviously they wouldn't have canceled it. There would have been no reason. And not only that, but like Lord knows how much money they spent to just fly, and this was filmed in London because there's this whole thing with like Actors Union or something in America where it's actually a lot cheaper. The unions between America and London are so different that it's a lot cheaper for a Broadway show to go to London and film their productions there than to just stay in the United States and film a production here. It's a little weird, but that's just kind of how they do things, I guess. There has been some production that has been filmed here, however, but a lot of productions do go off to London to film their stuff because it's cheaper there. I don't fully know how that works, but that is what it is. So, what was it I was wanting to say? Yeah, so a lot of people were calling for it to be canceled, which was ridiculous. Again, people were saying it was cringe, which is like, hey, it's fine if you personally do not like the SpongeBob musical, or if you look at it and you're like, yeah, this looks bad. It's like that, yeah, sure, that's whatever. But when people were like, because, you know, like, obviously not everybody's gonna like something. Like, that's totally fine. If it's not your thing, like, that's whatever. But the one thing that was really pissing me off with a lot of people on Twitter was when they were saying that Stephen Hillenburg was gonna hate this. Oh, he's rolling in his grave because this was there were some people that were literally saying, oh, he died, and so now months after he died, you decide to make a parody of his show and call it a musical. And it's like, everybody thought that, everyone kept saying, well, not everybody, but a lot of people kept saying, Stephen Hillenburg would have hated this, he would have yada yada yada. And it's like, y'all don't even know. You guys sound so ignorant right now, because first of all, a lot of these people that were complaining about it on the Nickelodeon Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and on the SpongeBob Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, a lot of people didn't know that this was the thing for like 4 years now. Like SpongeBob, or actually no, for about 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. 2019, first production started in 2016. This has been a thing for about like 3 years. And it's been in production, not in production, it's been in development for like over, like probably around 10 years or so. It took them about 10 years to create this entire musical. And clearly, this was before Stephen Hillenburg died. And not only that, but he had a hand in this. As some of you guys, I've been seeing this in the comments that some of you guys are, well, I think a couple of you are saying this, that Stephen Hillenburg had a hand in it. Yes, he did. In fact, the people, the producers, the directors who were on this musical were asking him if this was okay to do. Can we do this? What would you like in the show? And there's a reason why the musical looks the way it does. Why these characters are dressed up the way they are. First of all, it's because it's Broadway. Broadway would not allow actors to be in these ridiculous costumes that were like made of foam, that were like, you know what I mean? But they wouldn't allow that. Like, I mean, well, not that they wouldn't allow that, but there's no producer that would have characters be in ridiculous costumes on Broadway. That just wouldn't, you know, like if you wanted to see that, go to like a Peppa Pig live show or something. You know what I mean? But not only that, you know, to make the characters wear costumes that represent these characters, and also why you have this show that kind of uses certain materials to make the show kind of look well, not kind of make the Bikini Bottom world kind of look, I guess, not realistic, but look a certain way. Like if you guys saw the production, whether you saw it on Broadway, if you saw it on tour, if you saw it on television, you would notice that they definitely had objects that were everyday objects. You had tin cans and wooden barrels. You had certain hula hoops everywhere. You had like tires. You had crap, I can't think of shoot, I can't think of the names of some right now. You had yeah, I can't, well, you know what I'm saying in particular. You had like certain objects that were used to represent what certain thing it is. Like say Larry the Lobster, he kind of had like two tires that represented weights. You know, things like that. So you kind of know where I'm going with this, like how they were using certain props and certain things in the set. Or ladders. If you saw the volcano scene, they used ladders to represent the volcano. That was a creative choice. There were some people that were like, oh, this musical is so low budget that they were using all this stuff. It's like, no, there was a reason why they used it. Because when you take a look at the world of SpongeBob, and I'll get to my thoughts in the musical in a second. But, I mean, I guess this is kind of my thoughts. But, yeah. But either way, the reason why, if you look at the world of SpongeBob, essentially, a lot of stuff that they use, like especially the buildings, like the businesses and the worlds, the homes that they're living in, that's all objects that we use, essentially, that could possibly float underneath the water, and these citizens are using these objects to create homes or to create driving and, you know, all this stuff. So it makes a lot of sense that when you have it on stage that they would use a lot of these objects that also could potentially float underwater to represent Bikini Bottom, because that's essentially what Bikini Bottom was to begin with. You know, like a bunch of objects from the surface, and they're using it, you know, as in their everyday lives and all that stuff. So you get it. So that's particularly why they did that, but also because Stephen Hillenburg wanted the show to still have its DIY feel to it, kind of like how the original cartoon somewhat had like a DIY feel to it as well. So there was a reason behind all that. And again, they had to ask him if this was okay to do certain things. They had to ask him and Nickelodeon if it was okay. And Nickelodeon and Stephen Hillenburg had certain reservations, but they kind of gave these creators like a very open like space, I guess, if that makes sense. Like they were able to do a lot of or they had the creative freedom to do what they wanted with the SpongeBob musical. The only thing they really wanted was, again, the show to still have like the DIY feel, and they also wanted it where SpongeBob wanted to say, well, not wanted to save the day, that SpongeBob basically had to save the day, because originally the director kind of wanted to go a little bit dark with this show, where at least one character, not a main character, but like a side character, one of the background characters, actually dies. She kind of wanted that to happen in the show, so I guess the stakes were risen, you know, in terms of like, oh, the world's about to end. But Nickelodeon didn't want to do that, which, yeah, makes sense, because that would be kind of dark for a SpongeBob show, even though There has been instances where characters have died. I mean, well, not a lot of instances, but there was one instance I can definitely think of where it was Bubble Buddy, where one of the guys was wanted to get buried under the sand, and like I guess um the ocean obviously kind of like he didn't well he wanted the Bubble Buddy because he didn't think that it was just gonna stand there. He was like, okay, yeah, I'm buried now, you can dig me out and everything. But he didn't get dug out, and essentially, oh yeah, the Van Gieb's blip explosion, yeah, that's true. Two characters died there. But yeah, the guy turned into an angel and flew away because he experienced high tide. So yeah, there's been certain situations where characters have died in the show. So honestly, they could have had a character die in the SpongeBob musical, but I think, especially nowadays with how certain kids media is now, I don't know if that would have really slid by well, if that makes sense. So, but the director kind of did want to do that, but obviously, the Nickelodeon was like, nah, I think we should let it, where SpongeBob saves everybody and everything like that. So, that was the only the only caveat, I guess. But other than that, they had like the total artistic expression to do whatever they wanted with the musical. Now, if this was Disney, if this was Disney, that would not happen. Let's be real, because I'm gonna have to use Frozen as an example, the musical. I've gonna be honest with you, I've already technically seen the musical because, of course, I look around for bootlegs sometimes. Or no, there was a bootleg I think for a while on YouTube for a short amount of time, and I ended up watching that. And as good as the show is, there's some songs on it that are good. The actors were good. The singing's good. Some of the puppetry for Sven is pretty damn good, and some of the set design, while not great, but some of the set design's pretty nice too. It's kind of nice to look at. However, when it comes to the story itself, they don't really change a lot. In fact, the show is literally almost a complete copy-paste from screen to stage. They don't really add much. So it's kind of, yeah. So, I don't know how much to say. In fact, with Frozen, they had a completely different creative team at first. But then I guess there was some sort of disagreement, so they completely changed the creative teams of the musical. And I don't know, like, now you got this musical, which is, again, still good, but doesn't really add a lot of new things to the story. I wish they did, but they didn't. So again, so that's kind of, and not only that, but if you want to say which one is a cash grab and which one isn't a cash grab, Frozen is definitely the cash grab, of course, because why else would they bring this damn thing to Broadway? SpongeBob, as you could technically say, it's somewhat of a cash grab because it's based off of a popular franchise, but it's not a cash grab because they actually put in a lot of work to make it different from the cartoon, to have an original story, to do a lot of things where it's really different from the cartoon. If you've seen the show on Saturday on Nickelodeon, you could tell that even though it definitely does somewhat have the feel of the original cartoon with, like, the sound effects and some of the zaniness and the randomness and everything, it still isn't really all that similar to the cartoon in a good way. Like, they don't make it vastly different, but they make it different enough to where it's still identifiable with the show, but it doesn't really feel like the actual cartoon, if that makes sense. And not only that, but Nickelodeon wasn't really 100% sure about this. I've said this in a video once before, but Nickelodeon was honestly close to not even doing this production. They said if they couldn't do anything different with this franchise when it comes to the stage, then it wasn't going to happen. And not only that, but I don't think, like, when it opened on Broadway, they were that excuse me, they were that optimistic about how it would do. So it was possible that it was going to close a lot earlier, but it didn't. It closed like it closed 10 months later after they opened. So yeah. So you can tell which one's not a cat. Nickelodeon wasn't 100% sure how this was going to do. And Disney already knew how Frozen was going to do because how freaking big Frozen is. So it's, yeah. But anyway, I rambled on for too long. So you asked me, what was my thoughts on the SpongeBob musical? Well, as you already know, I'm a pretty big fan of the SpongeBob musical. Like, I really do love the show, and not just because I'm a fan of the series, but because as a fan of theater, I thought they just did the production very, very well when I saw it on Broadway. Again, I love like the character designs, like how they dress up these people to look like the characters. Like I really like how they have Sandy have an afro, right, to kind of represent her helmet. That makes a lot of sense. You couldn't have an actor actually put on a helmet throughout the entire show because her sound would sound weird and very echoey, which would get annoying for a lot of people to hear, and it would kind of get tough for the actor to breathe in. You know what I mean? So it's actually very creative. Again, I love how the set design is. Even though the set design, and I will tell you, the set design on the Broadway version is a lot more elaborate than what you had on the television production. And that was probably because the theater probably wasn't able to accommodate for some of that. But, because the original production also had like these two huge Rube Goldberg machines on the side. And that was amazing. I wish I saw how they worked, but where I was sitting when I saw it, I wasn't really able to see them, so that kind of sucked. But but they were only able to do so much. And not only that, I don't think they really had a lot of time to film. Well, not that they didn't have a lot of time to film this. This all kind of seemed as though that it was somewhat of a last minute thing for them to decide, hey, let's film this Broadway musical and let's put it somewhere, whatever. So it wasn't like they spent months, like months on months on months, planning this. And again, like if you were to have seen pictures of the set on Broadway and then you see the production here that was on television, you'd see just how different it really was. I mean, it's still similar, of course, but like they still have the stage ramp in the front and some of like the bubble type things on the top. But the stage is more reminiscent of what's currently on tour. Which in a way kind of makes sense because you see it on television and say you want to go ahead and see it on tour, then it kind of doesn't look all that different from what you've seen on TV, and you won't be that disappointed of how scaled down the production was, I guess. But either way, the show still looked amazing. Like, don't get me wrong, like even though it was scaled down from what it was on Broadway, but it still looks pretty amazing with how they did it on television. It was great. But I think honestly, from what I saw on Saturday, now also another thing to mention is that they did cut off like maybe 15 minutes of the show, like cut out 15 minutes of the show while they were editing. Well, not while they were editing the show, but like while they were rehearsing. Like they kind of said, okay, let's cut out this part of the scene. Let's cut out these jokes and whatever, because of course they have to try to fit it into a 2 hour and 30 minute run time on Nickelodeon. So they had to cut out a couple of things to make it work. And the way they did it actually was really good. Now, if you see a rerun of this musical, most likely it's going to be a 2 hour version. And, excuse me, that's not really going to be the version you're going to want to see. You're going to want to fully see the full 2 hour and 30 minute, 30 minute show, because when you see their, as the director put it, their abbreviated version, I guess, of the show, which again is cut down to only 2 hours instead of 2 hours and 30 minutes, they cut out a lot of songs. They cut out like I think 5 songs from the airing, which is very disappointing. Also, certain cuts that they kind of makes the story just a little bit confusing, because when I watched both versions, I watched the full version on Saturday night, and then they had another airing on Sunday, and that was the version that they cut down to 2 hours. And there were certain things that kind of worked, but there was a lot of situations where I was like, yeah, that kind of doesn't make sense. A lot of people are probably going to be asking questions. So yeah, but either way, I think like the way that they've done the production for the television show was really good. And the actors still had the same performances, which was awesome. As somebody said in a review, it looked as if though that these actors didn't even leave the roles, because they were, mind you, they were away from these roles for about more than a year. because it closed in September 16th, and they came back in November to perform again. And so it was like they just left where they ended and they're starting up again. But it was like the performances were just as good as they were on Broadway. And so it was great. I thought it was good. And it was interesting because, again, on Twitter, I see how so many people were like very angry at the musical. You know what I mean? And then when they ended up, I guess, hate watching it on Nickelodeon, I see a lot more people saying, "Oh my God, this was a lot better than I expected. Oh, this was great. This is yada yada yada." And so, I mean, it was the same thing that kind of happened when it opened on Broadway, where a lot of people were like, "This is going to be probably one of the worst and one of the most pointless shows on Broadway." But then when a lot of people saw it, Twitter did a 180, and now everybody's talking about how good it was. So, yeah, it's definitely very interesting. Hopefully, and not only that though, but the way that they filmed the show was actually very good too, as well. They kind of filmed it as if it was an actual live production, as in like it was one of those shows where it was like a literal live broadcast. Which you could see, because if you see the musical like on Nickelodeon, you can clearly see certain cameras. Like you can see the steady cam, you can see like the dolly cam that's like literally on the stage and everything like that. They don't even try to hide it, which is honestly fine for me. Like it's the yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of to show you that, oh yes, this really was filmed in front of it all. I don't know. But excuse me, but yeah, either way, like you could have fooled. Yeah, I think they fooled a lot of people that it was actually a live broadcast, which it wasn't. It was filmed like a month ago. But either way, like I think the production was like really, really, really good. The way that they filmed it, it was great. I loved how they did it. And I think honestly, this should be an example to a lot of other television networks, because you got ABC, you got Fox, you have NBC that do these live musical TV specials. And while some of them have worked, like I think The Wiz was probably one of the best ones, and Grease, I thought Grease live was also pretty good. A lot of other ones just didn't work in my opinion. Like sometimes the acting wasn't that good, and sometimes like certain things would just go wrong and whatnot. But I think they should just like, instead of doing that, which I understand why they do it, because like they want to kind of impress you with what you can do with live television productions and stuff, like how you could have multiple sound stages and multiple sets, and how you can do this thing on a massive scale live, like people, that's understandable. But I think they should just literally start putting these productions in an actual theater and film it as if it was an actual theater production. And I think people would just like it better that way either way. So, like, you know, I think they should literally start doing that more often. And not only that, but it would kind of make theater a bit more accessible, because theater, you know, on Broadway, you got to fly to New York and it's expensive, which is understandable why it's expensive for, like, why shows cost like $100 or $150 for like orchestra seats, because the show itself has to pay like generally about $500,000 a week just to run, and so they got to make money somehow, obviously. Excuse me, let me drink a little bit of water. But yeah, but I think they definitely should start filming these productions kind of like as if it was actually on the stage, instead of like, I don't know. I mean, again, it can be impressive, but sometimes it doesn't really come out with the best results. Like Hairspray, Peter Pan, Rent, like, yeah, you might want to try a different approach as well. Not only that though, but thankfully, they don't. What am I trying to say? Thankfully, they do not have, like, in the SpongeBob musical television production, the audience wasn't annoying. Thankfully, because sometimes the audience, like, because they've recently been putting audiences in these productions, because sometimes you kind of can't watch a musical theater production without an audience, because it's a little awkward. You know what I mean? But sometimes when they add these audiences, like, the audience will always kind of be like screaming, or they'll always be cheering loudly and stuff like that, and sometimes it can get annoying. Here's a good example. The View went to Frozen on Broadway, and they ended up watching the song "Let It Go" for The View. You know, like, so you could see it on TV. And the audience participation in that was so freaking annoying. So so you guys know Let It Go. You know the scene in the movie. In the musical, they have Elsa, of course, doing like these ice special powers, and which on stage is basically projections, which are honestly somewhat impressive how they do the projections of her, like shooting out ice out of her hands and everything like that. It's pretty cool. But if you go to a normal production, normal production, you go to a normal showing of Frozen while she does these ice powers, some people will be impressed, but they're not going to be like, because if you see the View video, which is on YouTube, everybody's just going ooh and ah, and they're cheering at everything Elsa does, and it's like, oh my god, that's annoying. It's like, it's like, Jesus, tone it down. It's cool, but it's not that impressive. Like, God. Or here's another one. There was somebody that recently made a comment that I saw while I was talking about the SpongeBob musical. They mentioned what were my thoughts on the Little Mermaid live on ABC, which, when you really think about it, wasn't really live. I mean, like, yeah, you had the performances that were live, but it was the movie, the 2D animated movie, also somewhat abbreviated or abridged. I'm not quite sure. Either way, it was kind of cut down just a little bit as well. But you had live performances of every single song in it. Um, that audience participation was also annoying sometimes. Like, say for example, Ariel singing "Part of Your World," and then she starts to swim up. Then she starts swimming above the audience, and everyone just starts screaming so loud and cheering that you could barely hear her singing. It's like, guys, please be quiet. I'm trying to listen to her sing. It was annoying, and it's like, God, why do we feel the need for television in certain events that the audiences have to just cheer loudly for everything, especially with certain performances? Like, it's just, sometimes it just gets annoying. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh my God. Or especially when I watch some of these, like, singing competitions where you have somebody singing and they over-sing the crap out of some of these songs. Like, you always have someone that sings, like, a high note and everybody cheers loudly for them. And I'm like, okay, please. Like, I mean, sometimes it's impressive. Sometimes like, okay, yeah, you sound good. But then there's certain situations where it's like, okay, it doesn't really render these loud cheers, if that makes any sense. I mean, sometimes it really just gets annoying to me. But the Little Mermaid live, and I think there was a couple of people that were somewhat kind of comparing the SpongeBob musical live on stage to the Little Mermaid live. Well, before the SpongeBob live on stage ended up airing. And like, I guess you could compare it because both of them are underwater properties. But if you have to choose which one is clearly the superior one, it's got to be the SpongeBob musical, because the way they did it was just a lot better. And again, the audience wasn't annoying. And the performances also were great. The performances were stellar because it was most of the original cast on Broadway. There's probably like maybe 2 or maybe 3 people who weren't fully from the original. Like the person who played Sandy, she was the second person who played Sandy on the Broadway version. So she wasn't original, but technically she was in the Broadway production. And the person who played her, Lily Cooper, she is currently in another production. So that's kind of why she wasn't in it and why she eventually moved from the SpongeBob show. Now, the performances in the Little Mermaid live, there was only like maybe one person, like I guess the guy who played Prince Eric. I thought he was pretty good. He was a good singer. And also Queen Latifah, I thought she was pretty good too. And also John Stamos, who played the chef, I thought he did pretty good as well. Like, he wasn't, obviously the dude's not a singer, but he played that character pretty well. Like, I thought he did pretty well on that one. But I do think the person who played, I think his name is Shaggy, I think the person who played Sebastian in the show wasn't that good. Personally, he wasn't that good. Also, I thought the person who played Ariel, who played Moana in the movie Moana, she wasn't that good either. Her voice was not strong enough for this role or for the songs that she was singing. And that's the issue with a lot of these live productions, might I add, is that they always use these celebrities or people who are in movies or people who are in the industry who also can sing sometimes to do some of these roles. And even though they're good singers, sometimes musical theater singing requires a different technique generally. You still have to project. Even if you have a microphone and you're mic'd up, you still have to project and still be able to have a strong voice to sing a lot of these songs. Ariana Grande, who was, I think her name was Penny in Hairspray, I'm not quite sure, didn't work. You know, her voice was not strong enough for the song she had to sing. Some of the actors who sing in some of these shows just don't sound really all that good. I guess the person who played Clay was I don't know his name in Hairspray, but I guess the guy who was playing him was named Garrett or something. He was a good actor, but he wasn't a good singer. You know, I think I get it with television. You got to use some of the celebrities to pull in views, of course, but I do think at least try to bring somebody who not only can sing but has musical theater experience. You know what I mean? Like, I think they definitely just need to do that so the performances look better, sound better, and overall, you know, like, yeah. But again, I was expecting the person who played Ariel to have a, you know, because she sung well in Moana, from the one song that I've heard, of course. But I expected her to do a lot better, and maybe she was a little nervous because it was live and there was people there. I don't know, but she didn't sound that good in the production, in my personal opinion. But yeah, and I think they could have done better with the Little Mermaid live, but yeah, it was okay, but it was not the best. Especially with some of the costume choices. With the scene where Sebastian gets caught by the chef and he's singing about cooking him and everything, they used some ridiculous costumes for the crabs. And there was also a scene where, well, the same scene, for some reason one of the crabs were flying, and it was like, what the hell? It was just weird. And it's funny because originally Sebastian, that costume was also ridiculous as well. It was strange. And people were talking about why he didn't have claws. Why couldn't you see his hands and everything? Well, ABC found, you know, originally had him wear claws, but they said that looked ridiculous, so they just gave him red gloves or something. So that looked ridiculous, but the crab costumes that you used in the John Stamos scene wasn't ridiculous enough? Okay. It was weird. That's the only thing I can say. But yeah, dude, like, I mean, I will say, if anything, like, sometimes when they came to the, like, say, the transition from the live action segments to the 2D movie, some of the transitions in between were kind of cool. And some of them worked well, some of them not so much, but yeah, it wasn't really the best. I won't say it was terrible, but it was interesting, I guess. But yeah, that was my thoughts on the Little Mermaid live, and honestly, that was also my thoughts on the SpongeBob musical live on stage. So, if you guys have seen it, I wonder what you guys thought of the musical as well. Did you guys like the musical? Did you think it was kind of like a love note to the SpongeBob cartoon? Like, do you think it kind of, well, like, what, I would like to know what your thoughts are on the musical as a whole, and also as the on the airing as well and all that. So let me get to some comments, actually, because I know a lot of you guys were sending me some comments, and I think you were sending me some questions and everything like that. So Eric Crowley says, which of my five favorite cat shows do you love most? The Amazing World of Gumball, 44 Cats, Rainbow Butterfly and Unicorn Kitty, Unikitty, or MMHOPH. I don't know which one that is. If you're still here, let me know which one that is, because I'm not quite sure which one that is. I may not have ever seen it. Maybe I have, but I just can't think of what series that is. Though, I have to say, obviously, The Amazing World of Gumball. That one's honestly, like, the best out of all the ones that you mentioned. Because 44 Cats is okay. I do personally kind of like that show. Rainbow Butterfly Unicorn Kitty, no, that one's not for me. And Unikitty, I couldn't get into that one. And again, the last show that you mentioned, MMHOPH, I'm not really sure which one that is. Wait. Is that Meow Heroes of? Yeah, I think that one's Meow Hero of Pure Hearts or something. I don't know the name of the show, but if it is not Mao, then yes, it is Mao. Okay, so if it is Mao, that would have to be my number 2. It would be or basically top 3, I guess, would have to be number 1 would go to Amazing World of Gumball. 2 would go to Mao, which I don't know why they're not airing it on Cartoon Network anymore. I really hope it gets a second season. And 44 Cats would go in number 3. So yeah, there's that. Northwestern Railway says, I can't afford Disney Plus, but the only thing I know of is that the High School Musical show, and from what I can see, it looks decent. I mean, I can tolerate it more than the original films. Okay. It was interesting because, like, I saw this preview from the High School Musical, and it was interesting that apparently, like, the characters kind of cursed in the show, but they obviously bleeped it out. But it was funny because I was like, wow, they literally did that in a Disney show where one of the characters actually curse. But of course, I mean, obviously they bleeped it out. I don't think they really said the curse word while they were filming it. Maybe they did, but I was like, that was definitely interesting. But yeah, I don't really care for the show, to be honest. It's not. If I were to get Disney Plus, I most likely wouldn't watch it. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's kind of a weird premise. You go to a school where they did a filming of High School Musical, and the school never put on a musical production of High School Musical. It's like, that's weirdly, I don't know. It's strange. It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's just weird to me. Glade says, which Disney movie do you think should get a remake? I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. That's not something. If you're talking about which movie should get a live Disney remake, I would have to say, I don't think I would have to say any, to be honest, because, again, tired of these Disney live action remakes. I'm still surprised that somehow they're going to be doing a Lilo and Stitch remake. And I already know they're going to screw that up. I already know they're going to screw that up. Like, it's none of the, I mean, I'm definitely not going to watch that one as much as I love Lilo and Stitch, but I kind of refuse to watch the live action remakes of Disney movies, to be honest, because they've been annoying and none of them seem to be any better than the animated ones. And the Lion King one is one that just frustrates me because it's a literal shot-for-shot remake. And it's like, what's the point? I mean, I don't know what else I can say, but it's like, literally, what's the point? But yeah, I don't know if there's any. I would say Finding Nemo, but I don't think I would want it to be remade, to be honest. I think it could just stay the way it is, and it would just be perfect. Because if they were to remake a little Finding Nemo, I highly doubt they would do as well as the original. Highly doubt it. In fact, Disney should just focus on bringing us some new stories, or do what they used to do, kind of take some of these fairy tale stories and make an adaptation of it. You know, like they literally, they could have, they had like a movie that they were slated to do, which was based on Jack and the Beanstalk. I think it was called, I forgot what it was called, but it was slated to, I think they were planning on doing that, but unfortunately that just never ended up happening, or they kind of scrapped that idea, which sucked. But hey, it would have been something new. I guess. Eh. Um, Syracuse Alpha says Disney is under some creative bankruptcy. That is a fact. That is 100% a fact. 100%. Anyway, let's continue here. Sima Bambo, I guess. I'm just gonna call you Seam, I guess. You said, do you get paid from YouTube? Nope. I don't make a lot of YouTube videos anymore, which I'm trying to change, as I stated a lot of times. And because of the amount of views I get, which is bar none, to be honest, I don't really get paid all that much. I used to. Well, actually, no, I didn't really get paid all that much when I was more of a partner on YouTube. I mean, I'm still technically a partner on YouTube, I guess, but like before, when I first started, my first paycheck from YouTube, which accumulated over the course of a couple of years, or like maybe 3 or 4 years being on the channel, I ended up getting about $600. But like again, that's over the course of a few years. It wasn't like I got $600 each month, which I would be happy with. But my channel's not that big, so yeah. If it was a lot bigger, and if I was able to get the clout to start selling merch or whatever, or have a Patreon where people would actually support me on the Patreon, which I've tried a couple of times, like, even though I wasn't really all that comfortable with asking for a Patreon, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I used to have a Patreon and never got support from it, which was not like something I was like, damn, but you know, it's like, yeah, so no, I don't get paid from YouTube. I mean, or technically, I guess you could say I do, but considering the fact that my videos don't really get a lot of views, I don't really have like a crap ton of money waiting to come into my paycheck or something, if that makes any sense. Anyway, let's see. Ryan Treasure says, do you like Rick and Morty? If you do, have you seen any of season 4? No, I personally don't really care all that much about Rick and Morty. Never really got into it and never tried watching it. To be honest, I don't think it's my thing, you know. Like, I'm not saying the show is bad. It's just personally, it's not my thing, to be honest. Claude Kringa says, which animated series would you like to voice a character on? That's a good question. I don't know. That's a really good question, to be honest. Is there any current show that I watch that's animated that's still in production that I would like to voice? I don't know. That's a really good question. Like, I don't know. I never thought of that, to be honest. Yeah, I really have no clue, to be honest. That kind of stumped me a little bit. I mean, whether it would be like a show on Cartoon Network or a show on Nickelodeon, or hell, even if it was like a show on like Nick Jr. or Disney Jr. or something, like, I wouldn't care. Like, I would be fine with having any voice actor role on any show, possibly. You know, because, you know, I'm an actor. I would like to do any kind of show, unless it was terrible. Then no, I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want to. Well, not really. I mean, like, especially with me starting out as an actor, trying to get my foot in the industry, I couldn't really say no to certain roles. Like, I don't have that authority, nor do I have that kind of, like, I don't know. Like, I can get you know what I mean. Like, yeah. But either way, I would want to, you know, get my foot in the door and be like, hey, yeah, I'm doing this because this is something I want to do. Not want to do it because, oh, I'm going to be able to be on TV. But no, because it's kind of like a big thing. And also, it would kind of be like an accomplishment. So if I were to have gotten a, like, voice acting job on any show, again, whether it be like a show for kids or a show like for little kids or a Nickelodeon show, cartoon, whatever, stuff like that, that would be considered a big accomplishment. Or if I were to be able to be booking on any of these pilots that are going to happen anytime soon, that would be a big accomplishment too as an actor. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But yeah, that's a good question. I'm not quite sure which cartoon I would like to voice on. That would, yeah, never thought of it that way. Securus Alpha says, I heard, and this was in response to me talking about Hollywood and how there's only a couple of places you really want to visit in Hollywood, but the rest of the street, it's nothing special. Say, I heard people defecate on the floor of San Francisco. San Francisco is a completely new, a different monster. Uh, there's a certain festival that I found out that they have every single year, and it is the freakiest goddamn festival I have ever heard in my entire life. It happens on a certain street, and oh my god. I mean, I found out about it. It's literally the freakiest, and honestly, when you consider what San Francisco is kind of known for, or let's put it this way, how gay San Francisco is. Yeah, you can kind of already tell where I'm going with this. And again, I found out about it somewhere. I forgot. Looked it up, and I'm like, yeah, San Francisco's really fucking freaky. Like, it's really freaky. So, when I hear apparently that people defecate on the floors of San Francisco, wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. But yeah, San Francisco's a weird city. I mean, it is beautiful in certain ways, but it's freaky as well, so it wouldn't surprise me. Which is kind of why I kind of don't want to go back to San Francisco. It's like, I think I want to stay away from some of those people. Anyway, Sirica's Alpha says, well, through the news, that is, or like internet news. Oh, I'm guessing that's in reply to when you say you heard people defecating. Who knows if that's actually like a real thing that happens or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, whoops, went a little bit too far down. Where am I? Let's see. Yeah, I went way too... Oh, there I am. Finally, got it. Ryan's Treasure says, I'm actually planning on going to LA next year. Oh, awesome. Says, I'm going to be going to Disneyland when I go. Well, great. So, like, I hope you enjoy Disneyland. Just expect... Well, recently Disneyland has seen, like, a decline in crowds, but I think, like, well, recently as in terms of, like, the past summer. I think attendance has been going back up, but expect big crowds, because Disneyland can tend to get very crowded. So expect that. Also expect the heat, because it can get hot in Anaheim, where Disneyland is located. And, also expect long lines on certain rides, so... And especially if you're going to their new land, which is Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, especially with the new ride, Rise of the Resistance, opening, expect long lines for that one. I think they're going to do boarding groups, like, we're going to, like, a virtual queue system, so you may not have to worry about that. But, yeah, definitely expect... But either way, if you're going to Disneyland and that's, like, your first time, I truly do hope you have a good experience, or how Disney would put it, a magical experience. I mean, you know, but, yeah, yeah, so, I mean, Disney magic and all that crap. But, yeah, again, if that's your first time, hopefully you do have a good experience. I still really do like Disneyland. I can't go as often as I used to when I was younger because, shoot, let me tell you, when I was a kid, getting into Disneyland was $45. I know, it sounds extremely crazy that it used to be $45 back then when I was a kid, compared to how much it is now, $100. But, yeah, you used to be able to get into Disneyland for $45, and not only that, it wasn't always crowded. Especially in this day and age, it seems completely insane, but it's true. I remember one time when I went to Disneyland, and I was probably maybe 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 years old. We went on Martin Luther King Day, and I kid you not, it was extremely, and I mean extremely empty. Almost nobody was in the park. It was insane. Like, again, when I went to Disneyland when I was a kid, it was never always that crowded, considering how crowded it is now, right? Excuse me. Like, it was never always that crowded. It was always, like, a manageable crowd for Disneyland, especially for this time. But, like, when I went there on Martin Luther King Day, it was literally empty, to the point where I would always, like, ride in the Mad Hatter ride, Even though that's not my most favorite ride, I'm not sure that was even my most favorite ride at the time either. But it was still one of my favorites. But I remember there would be times when I would just get off the ride and just get on the line again and just ride it over and over again. There would be a couple of times when I didn't even have to get off the ride to ride it again. You know, like it would be that empty. It's a rarity that you would ever see Disneyland that empty nowadays. Trust me. But it was honestly amazing. I wish I could go back to those days where it wasn't so crowded now all the time, and you could actually be able to go to Disneyland where it could be somewhat empty. Kind of like Knott's Berry Farm where it's somewhat empty and it's blissful. But yeah, like it was nice. It was definitely nice. But Disney, if you're whenever month you're going to Disney, which hopefully it's not during springtime. I mean, well, not during springtime, but hopefully not during spring break or summer break. Or well, with the summer that probably depends. You never know. But hopefully when you go there, it's not too bad of crowds. Hopefully it's somewhat manageable. But don't count on it, because even on the off season, if they even have an off season, but let's just say they do have an off season, it's still going to be somewhat crowded. But good luck when you eventually get there. I'm gonna eventually get back to the talk about Disneyland because you guys have been mentioning it recently, but I'm gonna go to continue with some of these comments. So Claude says, which properties would you like to see turned into a musical on Broadway? I think the only one I would kind of like to see be turned into a musical would have to be, and yeah, it's specifically Disney, but I would have to say Finding Nemo. Now, I know that sounds weird, but here's why. At Disney World in Florida, because I've been there several times, it's honestly a nice place to go. They have 4 different parks. I've been to all 4 parks, and they have Animal Kingdom. At Animal Kingdom, they do have a production of Finding Nemo. And the way they do it, it's a 40-minute show. And that's the only Pixar show that they had out there where it's a musical. And actually one of the first ones before they did a Toy Story musical on one of their cruise ships. Now, the way they do the musical at the Animal Kingdom is just really, really good. It's great. Like, they use certain puppetry, and it's great. The songs are great. The acting is great. Almost everything about the musical is honestly great. And every time I go to Animal Kingdom, I always watch the show. Definitely more than once. And it's been there for almost 12 years now, so it's pretty successful. But yeah, I would love to see a production of Finding Nemo like that go to Broadway. I think it would do pretty well. And there would just honestly kind of be no way that they would be able to screw that up, to be honest. But yeah, I think that's kind of the only one I could really say. There's some people I've heard, especially since SpongeBob's been made into a musical, that they talk about they would want a Steven Universe musical. I'm not 100% sure. Well, they would want a Steven Universe musical. Not particularly a Broadway musical, but maybe they were meaning a Broadway musical. I'm not 100% sure if that would be able to particularly work. Even though they have a couple of songs and whatnot, I don't know if that would particularly work for a Broadway stage, to be honest, just because of, like, the gems and the power. I don't know, to be honest. But, like, that would be interesting, but that wouldn't be one of my decisions. In fact, I don't know if there's a lot of like other cartoons or other television shows that I would say I would like to see that as a Broadway musical, to be honest. I don't think so. I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know. That's a good question. But yeah, if I had to pick one, it would definitely have to be Finding Nemo. And you know, the interesting thing is that because I'm such a theater kid, a lot of times especially when I was younger, I would always kind of imagine certain things in a theater format. Like, a lot of times I would always kind of like watch some of the, and this was when I was like maybe 8, 9, or 10 or something like that. When I was a kid watching SpongeBob, sometimes, because I loved theater a lot, I still do. But I would always kind of imagine certain episodes of SpongeBob performed on stage for some reason. You know, and so I guess somewhat I kind of manifested that because now we got a musical of SpongeBob, which is very interesting though. But I don't know, it was definitely interesting. So that's kind of a fun fact there. But anyway, let me continue here. Ryan's Treasure says, "Have fun." Oh yeah, in replies to me going to Disney on the 26th, so that's exciting. You ask, what would you say is your favorite ride at Disneyland? Whew, that's a tough one because I have a couple of them, but I'm not sure which one I would say is my ultimate favorite one. To be completely honest with you, I could say my favorite rides at Disneyland. I think that would be easier. I like Roger Rabbit's Toon Ride. I think it's Car Spin Ride, I guess. That one's always a must for me to go on because it's fun. It's very wacky, and again, you get to spin the cars while you're going through the dark ride. It's pretty cool. I also like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Like that one's pretty funny. And you can pretend that you're driving the car. I like the Indiana Jones ride. That one's always fun. I like all the roller coasters there. Well, not at California Adventure. I'm not counting that one because I haven't gotten on California Screaming or what is known as Incredicoaster now. Mainly because I'm still not a huge roller coaster rider. Like, I'll get on a few roller coasters, but a roller coaster that big, especially with loops and a very fast launch, still isn't really a ride I would get on. Like, I'm not really at that level yet. But I like Space Mountain. I think I said 4 rides, or have I said 5? Either way, I'll just start at 4. But I like Space Mountain. I like Big Matterhorn, even though I think the ride can be rough because of the new seats they have. Also, I like Big Thunder Mountain. That's also one of my favorites as well. Is there any other in particular that I like? I like Soarin' at California Adventure. I also like Radiator Springs or Radiator Racers at Cars Land. That one's also pretty cool too. I can list off a lot of them, but I think those are, well, should probably round it out to 10, shouldn't I? Ah, crap! I can't think of another one right now. I would probably have to say, yeah, I can't think of another one right now. Damn it. Shoot. You know what? Honestly, I'll also add Autotopia, to be honest, just for why not? Because you know, it's kind of cool to ride, you know, to drive your car, even though like it's on a track either way, but you're still somewhat still controlling it. But it's also nice because you're kind of going through like all these different roads, so not every single ride is the same and everything like that. So it's kind of cool. Even though I think they need to replace those cars with like electric cars or something, or at least have a new motor or something. I don't know, because those can be loud, definitely. But you know, it is what it is. Yeah. Oh, actually, you know what? Let me replace Autotopia, even though it's still one of my favorite rides. But let me replace Autotopia with Haunted Mansion. That one's always a fun one to ride as well. I never gotten on the haunted no, the Nightmare Before Christmas version of the ride. That's always there throughout the Halloween season and the Christmas season. Never gotten on that one yet. Might do it this time around when I get there. But yeah, you know, those are my top 10 favorite rides at Disney, I guess. Jacob York says hello. Glad you joined. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Circus, I think that's how you say your name. You say, I honestly wasn't offended by the SpongeBob musical. Saw it on Macy's Thanksgiving Parade last year and it looked good. And the creator of SpongeBob had his hands on this before his untimely passing. Yes. And also there's pictures of him with the cast in Chicago and on Broadway. So, you know, again, when people were saying stuff like, "Oh, he would hate this," they're very ignorant. They don't know what they're talking about. Anyway, Claus says, "Did you ever see The Little Mermaid live?" Yes, I did, and I talked about my thoughts on that. As the creator, Circus says, the creator of SpongeBob had his hands with this. I saw photos of him. Yeah, basically what I just said. Northwestern Railway says, Camp Coral pretty much put people on the edge, unfortunately, which is why I hate the near fact it exists even more. Yeah, I'm not someone that honestly hates Camp Coral. I'm just like a little confused. The only thing that I don't like about Camp Coral is that it kind of ruins the continuity of the show because apparently you're gonna see Sandy at the camp, you're gonna see Mr. Krabs at the camp, and all that. And it's like, wasn't it established that SpongeBob didn't meet Sandy until like I mean, well, and like in one of the first episodes of the series, but clearly he didn't know her until like he was fully grown. But now you're gonna see him as a kid at camp, and you see her there. It's kind of like that's just makes no sense to me. But it's whatever. Um, let's see, Emo and Yuyasha. Wow, it's been a while since I've seen you. You say hello. Very interesting night for two reasons. One, day two of Vanna White taking Pat. Sec I don't know, Seja's place while he was recovering from surgery, and she did really well. I don't know what this is in reference to, but I'll keep reading it. And they say, two, Ellen has another series called Her Greatest Nights of Giveaways, and she and Michelle Obama so far gave away iPads to every school. It's teacher and student at a school. Wow. I mean, yeah, of course, you got somebody who's a celebrity who has all this money. Of course, they can do all that. And it is nice when you have somebody that gives back, to like a community or people who don't have much. Like that's always nice. Ryan's Treasures, did you see any Disney Broadway productions other than Frozen? Yes, I have. I have seen it's kind of interesting how I'm talking a lot about Disney and musical theater in this stream, so it's very interesting. But anyway, um excuse me. The other productions I have seen were Aladdin. I've seen that twice on Broadway and once when it came to L.A. So I've seen it three times and brought my friend Javon with me to the show in L.A. And I also saw The Lion King, and I also saw Lion King twice, and Mary Poppins, and I think that's and I also saw Beauty and the Beast, not the original production, unfortunately, because the original production of Beauty and the Beast on Broadway was just so beautiful. Like they're apparently bringing back the show on Broadway, a revival, and apparently the entire original not the original cast, but the entire original production company is coming back to bring the show back to Broadway, which is actually awesome. Hopefully, it's just as beautiful as it was on Broadway years ago. I think those were the only. I think so. I can't think of, and I haven't. Yeah. Well, no, never mind. But yeah, I think those are the only ones that I can think of that I've seen so far. Yeah. Yeah, those are definitely the only ones I've seen. I don't think there was any other Disney musicals that I've seen. I think those are the only four that I've seen. So yeah. Um, let's see. Jessica Shulman says why cartoons, anime, drama series, sci-fi series, fantasy series, and super series are so expensive. Wherever is South Korea, Japan, Japanese, Canadian, British, and American don't matter and still be expensive. I'm a little confused by that comment. Like, were you saying why are they so expensive or what? I'm a little confused when it comes to that. Because if you're asking why is it so expensive, well, you got people that got to draw, they got to animate, and it's definitely not going to be a cheap job. It's a lot of work, especially since episodes can take months to complete. But I don't know. I'm a little confused by that comment. One Mikey 19 says, "Did you hear about the passing of Carol Spinney, the man who played Big Bird in Oscar the Grouch?" Yeah, that's definitely very sad. I've seen a lot of posts of it when the day he died, and that was definitely unexpected. He was 85, 86 or something. He definitely will be missed. I'm not sure if they had somebody that that took over the role before, or I mean, well, not before, but like if he retired officially, or if they had to. I don't know, to be honest, because I don't really hear a lot of stuff about Sesame Street, nor do I look up a lot of things about Sesame Street anymore. But yeah, but it's definitely very sad. His with Mr. Cooper now, yeah. So yeah, it's definitely sad that we lost another great guy. So Anyway, Claudia Kringus says, "I'm glad they kept the song 'I'm Not a Loser.'" Oh, in the SpongeBob musical. Excuse me. There is no way, absolutely no way. And okay, also you say they did. He acknowledged it before he retired, and he gave his replacements blessing. Okay, that's good. All right, cool. Um, but yeah, back to what Claude says. Glad they kept the song "I'm Not a Loser." There was no way that they were gonna cut out that song because it's such an amazing song sung by Squidward, and also he does this tap number. And if you guys haven't seen the show, Squidward, the guy who plays Squidward, he has two extra pair of legs on his backside that's connected at the connected to his backside, but also connected at the heel. So whenever he's walking, whatever movement he does with his front legs, the back legs kind of do the same thing. And he ends up doing a tap number in that. And I'm always watching it. First of all, it's amazing, but second, it's like, how do you do that? I mean, obviously the guy, of course, has to practice so many times in that suit, of course, to get used to doing that. But it's honestly freaking amazing. And not only that, the guy who plays Squidward, his name's Gavin Lee. I also saw him in the production of Mary Poppins when that was also in LA. And the dude actually was tap dancing on a proscenium of this theater, and he was tap dancing upside down. Upside down, ladies and gentlemen. Like that, it's insane. It's crazy. He has to win an award for something at some point. Lord knows what he's gonna do next. That's gonna be like, wow. But yeah, and I met him when he was playing Bert in the musical as well, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, they definitely had to keep in "I'm Not a Loser." There's no way you would cut that out. Like that would just be a crime against the SpongeBob musical. Anyway, continuing here. Sakura says, "My high school did a Grease play, never went and to audition to it." My school in middle school, I think it was I don't think it was my last year in middle school, or maybe it was in 7th grade. No, I think it was the last year in middle school. I went to Marina Del Rey. It was a performing arts magnet, and I played Kaneki in Grease, so that was cool. And I really enjoyed myself in that show too, so that was awesome. Ryan Treasure says Rene Albert. I don't know how you say his last name. Who voiced Chef Lewis in the 1989 masterpiece died a few days ago. Yeah, that was also very sad as well. Keep losing a lot of people sometimes in clusters, and that it just sucks. Ryan Treasure says, "Is The Little Mermaid one of your favorite Disney movies?" Not 100%. I don't know. It's a movie that I do like, but it's not a movie that I would I guess buy a DVD to, or buy a VHS, or take the time to watch or something. I don't know, but it is a good movie. I do enjoy it. I mean, especially when I was watching the movie again, when they were doing the live production, even though it was definitely cut down. Like, I haven't seen the movie in a long time, ever before that the live production was on. Well, the live broadcast was out. And even I noticed that there were certain things that were cut and certain things that were different. Excuse me. But yeah, so it's not one of my like all-time favorites, but it's definitely a movie that I do enjoy. So I can definitely say that. Let's see here. Jessica Schulman says, "When I was in middle school, saw the Hannah Montana concert movie at the movie theater. People were so singing loudly and taking pictures. And I can't, the movie, it, the time people sing so loud." Yeah, it's, so I'm glad I didn't see that movie, but, I was forced to see in that Justin Bieber Never Say Never movie, where it was basically his concert on the big screen. And I was expecting hell. I was expecting people to be screaming in the movie theater and constantly singing along with it. Thankfully, the audience was quiet and just paying attention, but God, it was not easy sitting through that. It was not easy. I was like, oh my God, no! But yeah, I was forced to watch that, and it sucked. Yeah. Anyway, I already answered that one. Sekiro says, I hope that this will end in 2020 when it brings Disney is under some creative bankruptcy. Hopefully that will end in 2020. It's not. I would hope so too, but considering how many other live action movies they're still going to be no, how many animated classics they're going to be remaking into a live action show movie, they're not done. They're not done. They're just, I don't know what else I can say, but yeah. Um, and Emo Yasha, he also says they gotta bring back 2D animation. I definitely do agree. Like 2D animation is somewhat of a lost art in movies nowadays, and like I definitely do think that they should be bringing it back because. Like, as nice as CGI is, and sometimes it can look very amazing, 2D animation can also be very impressive, especially since, it's always, you generally sometimes drawn by hand and whatnot, and, unless it's flash animation, but you know what I mean. Like, it always can be pretty impressive, and, uh, oh, and, okay, so the title, when I was talking about the, what was it, the movie based off of Jack and the Beanstalk, it would have been called Gigantic. That's right. I wish they kept with it and said we're going to continue doing that, but I get for some reason I guess they canceled it. It's strange. Anyway, where am I here? There you go. Yeah, Inuyasha responds to Sycrus, again, butchering names here, says, well, I don't think that will happen because people will maybe think 2D is kids-only film, which usually would be the case. And that's the sad part, is that people just look at any animated film, whether it's CGI or 2D, and instantly think, oh, it's just a kid's movie, there's no reason to see it or whatever. And I can see where they're coming from because there has been a lot of movies that have been animated where it definitely is for kids, and it's like, sometimes it doesn't have a lot of smarts to it, or sometimes it's just dumbed down a lot, and, but, yeah, animated movies, I don't know, it's generally a family film, but, like, family films and all that, but a lot of people just think it's just for kids and whatnot, and, yeah, so, whether it's 2D or whatnot, it's, yeah. John 15HD, what's up? How are you doing? Glad you joined if you're still here. Ryan's Treasure says, have you been to the Walt Disney Family Museum in San Francisco? No, I have not. The 2 times I went to San Francisco, which was probably when I was 8 the first time, and the second time was, I think, when I was maybe 13, 14, maybe 15. I never knew that there was a Walt Disney Museum until, like, really recently. So, if I knew then, I probably would have gone before, but I never knew before. So, if I do go back to San Francisco, which is kind of unlikely to be honest, I probably would try to visit the Walt Disney Family Museum to see what it's all about. Claude says, thoughts on LGBTQ representation in kids shows? Personally, it's not really something I really care all that much about. Like, I don't make a big deal out of it because it's just whatever to me. I mean, it really depends on how they do it. If they kind of introduce these characters as just normal characters, then I don't care. Like, it's like, that's fine. Like, obviously, like, for example, Clyde's dads or Jeff's dads, Jeff's moms in Clarence. Both of these kids had they had same-sex parents. They didn't make it a big deal. They kind of just introduced them to the series as just regular parents. And I think that's how you should do it. Like, that's fine. Like, yeah, you see these characters have 2 dads or 2 2 dads or 2 moms, and again, it's whatever. It's like, that's fine. I think they should do it like that. Don't make it a big deal that they're gay. Don't make it a big deal. Just show them as normal parents. They just happen to be with the same sex. I think that's fine. Like, as long as representation is like that, like just showing them as normal people, like that's whatever. I'm totally fine with that. It's not really like the biggest deal when it comes to it. You know what I mean? It's just like it kind of becomes a problem to me when they make, say, them being gay or them being lesbian the biggest thing about these characters. And that's like, like I would much rather, if you have to have a gay character in a show, you establish them as any character, or as, as a normal character. They just so happen to be gay, or they just so happen to they just so happen to be dating somebody of the same sex. Kind of like of Luna Loud. Yeah, Luna, kind of like Luna Loud, where she's dating this girl named Sam. Now, obviously, I'm sure there's a lot of people who would probably instantly say, "Oh, she's a lesbian," and blah blah blah. Here's why I don't think she's a lesbian. Because if she was, let's really think about this for a second. In the first season, there was this episode where Lincoln was having this tutor coming home, and every sister, including Luna, was having the hots for him. So I think that definitely confirms that she's more so bisexual than she is lesbian. Probably prefers girls than men. I don't really know, to be honest, but I definitely would have to say that she's bisexual, because if she was straight up a lesbian, she would have not made a big deal of this hot guy coming to the house and trying to, or even fighting the other girls, saying, "Oh, no, we would marry each other and this is the babies that we would have." Which, speaking of which, that scene is freaking creepy when you really think about it. Like, because you have, because I think the first person who mentioned, "Oh, this would be, we would get married and this would be our babies. Well, this is how our baby would look like." I think it was Lori, or was it, not Luann, Lana? No, not Lana. I always mix up the names of the Loud House, but the blonde one, the dumb one. I think, is her name Lana? Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know, but let's just say her name's Lana, I guess. But yeah, I think she was probably the first one that said, "We're gonna get Lenny." There we go, Lenny. I think Lenny was the first one who said we would get married and this is what our baby would look like. And then you have Lucy, who is, I think, 4 years old, right? I think, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Lucy, the smart one, is 4 years old. She even started saying something like, "Nope, that's wrong, because we would get married and this is what our baby would look like." And it's like, it is creepy as hell that you got a 4-year-old girl, first of all, crushing on a guy that's like way over her age range. But not only that, she at that age is already thinking about what their babies would look like. That is so creepy. It's like, oh my god. It's so funny. It's like, oh, but yeah, going back to the comment at hand, you're talking about Lisa. Oh shit. Then who's Lucy? Who am I? I'm thinking of somebody else. Lisa. That's the name. Lisa. Again, I always mix up the names. They all start with L. That's, yeah. Might as well just say LL number 1, LL number 3. But yeah, I always mix up the names. But thank God you guys watch the show enough that you're always you know who I'm talking about. That's right. Lucy's the one that's the emo kid, right? I think, again, correct me if I'm wrong or tell me I'm right, please. I think I'm embarrassing myself. But yeah, but going back to the comment at hand with the LGBT representation and shit, I was saying, basically talking about how Luna is more of a bisexual girl instead of just a straight up lesbian. Which is true, because again, she was crushing on the tutor as well. Everybody was. So there's that. But yeah, like they don't make a big deal that she's a lesbian. They kind of just draw her crush as any other crush. If she had a crush on a guy, she kind of just draw it. They kind of wrote it like that. Or her going on a date with Sam, they just had it like any other date. So So yeah, like I think like which is okay, yeah, Lucy is the emo kid. Okay, good. But yeah, I think like as long as they create these characters where they're literally written like any other character, then it's fine. I think it's better that you don't make them being gay the biggest part of their identity, and that's just my personal opinion. Because when you have it where that is their full identity, it can kind of be annoying, and not just annoying, but doesn't make them really all that um interesting as a character. And that also applies with people today, like in real life people. There's certain people where literally their sexuality is their entire personality, and that their entire identity, and they're just not interesting as people at all. They're boring, and that's all they talk about: sexuality and this and that. And it's like, oh, I don't care, you know. So yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts. And that's kind of not just in kids shows, because I mean, well, the thing is, let me take off my jacket. It is kind of getting a little hot in here, which is surprising because it is like maybe 63 degrees outside. Maybe it's because it's indoors or whatever. I don't know. But I think like, especially in kids shows, like yeah, you could just start showing them LGBT characters, but show them as normal people. Don't make a character, because you just want to just let these people know, hey, there's people out there that like the same sex. There's nothing wrong with it. It's normal. It's blah blah blah. Like, sure, go ahead and do that. Don't make a character, and this goes with every sort of media. Don't make a character where their entire personality is, oh, I'm gay, or they mention that they're homosexual or gay or lesbian every goddamn time they're on screen. Like, again, that just gets annoying and it's uninteresting. So, yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts on it. So, there's that. Okay, so continuing on, let me see. Yeah, Northwestern. He kind of replied to who was the one that asked the question? Claude, about the LGBT representation and all that stuff. He says LGBT representation works best when you write them as characters instead of the other way around, like Luna allowed for. Yeah, exactly. Basically what I just said. Yeah, like just write them as characters, like how you would write any other character. You don't, yeah, I mean, that's all I gotta say, like, if you don't write a straight character where it's like, hey, I'm this character and I'm straight and I love to date girls and stuff, like, if you don't write them like that, do the same for a gay character where they don't have to mention that they're gay, they don't have to mention that constantly and whatever, and you know what I mean, like, just write them as any normal character, like, just do that. Anyway, Securus Alpha says, or I might just call you Alpha, if you're still here, by the way, says, how long have I been streaming for? About an hour and 42 minutes. Jesus. Might have to try to end it sometime soon, because I do want to start making dinner. Either way, so, you say, the last time you went to Disney World, you did not have fun. Too much effing lines, and your phone died in the middle of Splash Mountain. Jesus, that sucks. That, man, like... It's very, very sorry to hear that. It always sucks when you go to an amusement park and you end up not having fun. But yeah, that's just how Disney is nowadays. There's so many lines for everything. Christ, there's lines to get popcorn buckets. Literally, I'm not kidding. They at least in Disneyland, I'm not 100% sure when it comes to Disney World, but there are certain like merchandise, or there's certain like souvenir buckets that they will release, and people will literally wait in lines, not just to get popcorn, but to get those buckets. And it's crazy. There was a guy, and most likely he was a season pass holder at Disneyland, because the majority of people who go to Disneyland are pass holders over there, and because it's kind of like a local theme park for people in California, in Southern California, might I add. He literally went to Disneyland just to get one of those souvenir popcorn buckets, and then he left. I'm like, really? It's insane. I honestly think some of these people who love Disneyland so much and some of these Disney fans are kind of insane, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah. Uh, let's see. Claude on the upcoming Phineas and Ferb movie. I think I talked about that before. It's gonna be interesting. Candace is against the world. Lord knows what happens. I don't know. There's a clone. Excuse me. But yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I'm most likely still not gonna be able to see it because again, I don't have Disney Plus. Not really planning on getting it, but you never know. Ryan's Treasure said, thanks. It will be my first time going to Disneyland. I was actually planning on not going to Galaxy's Edge, mostly because of crowds. Surprisingly, Galaxy's Edge was, when it opened, it wasn't as crowded as everyone was expecting it to be, for a couple of reasons. One, because Disney was overhyping the crap out of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and I think a lot of people were just afraid of how crowded that place was going to be. Because there was another situation where Disney opened like this Star Wars related attraction. Well, not really an attraction, but kind of an exhibit-ish. It was called Star Wars Launch Bay. And they kind of did this whole special festival type thing with Star Wars. And the park reached capacity for a while because of it. And I think because people saw it, especially how we know how big the Star Wars fandom is, when it came to Galaxy's Edge, everybody was afraid of how big and how crowded the place was going to be. But it wasn't that crowded. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge wasn't that crowded, and even the entire rest of the park was kind of empty, which was very surprising for a lot of people. Now, I don't know how it's doing now in terms of crowds, in terms of Galaxy's Edge, but yeah, the crowds weren't really, people were considering it a flop because of how it wasn't doing so well. And not only that, but a lot of people, as much as certain people liked Galaxy's Edge, a lot of people were kind of disappointed saying it's a over-glorified mall because a lot of things, there was, at the time, there was only one ride that was open because Rise of the Resistance still was getting worked on and hasn't opened yet. It's open now in Walt Disney World, but in Disneyland, it's got another month to open. And also there's just one ride that wasn't all that stellar. It was kind of like it's kind of like an arcade game, as some people have said. And there's a lot of shops. It's a lot of shops, and then there's this whole thing where you can build your own lightsaber, but that costs $200. You can build your own droid, but that costs $100. You can go into a cantina restaurant where you get these drinks, but that can cost you up to $45 for one drink. $45! And you gotta have freaking reservations for that. It's like a lot of people were like, as massive and as amazing as the land looks, there's not a lot to do. So a lot of people were kind of disappointed with it. And also they didn't like that it wasn't really based on the original trilogy as well. So there was kind of that whole situation. So again, I don't know how the crowds are now when it comes to Galaxy's Edge, but a lot of people were kind of disappointed when it came to that. But either way, I think the crowds, well, shoot, since you're going to be going after Rise of the Resistance opens, the crowds may change for Disneyland as a whole, and also for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Maybe. Don't take my word for it. Honestly, I have no flipping clue. But I'm not quite sure. But, that's, kind of something that kind of is, I don't know. But yeah, so Galaxy's Edge, you never know what happens when you get there, especially again since Rise of the Resistance is gonna open within a month. So we'll see how the crowds are within like maybe 2 months or so or whatever. So continuing, Circus Alpha says Disney World used to be cheap. Even went to a 5-star hotel when I was 7. Yeah, I mean Disneyland in general and Disney World kind of used to be a lot cheaper than how it is now. Christ. Even though when I was a kid and we went to Walt Disney World, we would always kind of buy used tickets for a much cheaper price. Not on eBay or anything, but there would be like certain areas or like a couple of places in Orlando where somebody would literally have like would offer tickets to Disneyland at a cheaper price, and it was already tickets that I think were already scanned or already used technically, and I guess they found a way to still be able to have them be usable. So it was we still were able to go to not Disneyland, Disney World a lot cheaper than what we would get for, their regular ticket price. And all the time we went, it worked. There were a couple of times, well, no. It was never always a guarantee that it would work in particular, but every time we used the same guy for the tickets, it always basically worked. And that was something that was kind of big in Orlando for a while, I think. And then, of course, Disney cracked down on it. So now those things are down and, you can't do that anymore. But that's what we used to do when we went to Disney World. And, we had fun when we went there. So I know somebody else is going to mention something about Disney World, but let's get to it later on. Email Inuyasha says, Nightmare Before Christmas Haunted Mansion is probably going to be crowded like that opened September 6th of this year. Yeah, it's always crowded. Like every single time, like trust me, it's a huge attraction for a lot of people. I don't particularly know why, because again, I never been on it before, but yeah, everybody loves it. It's always like a very, very, very long line for that ride. Disney, John 15 DHD says, Disney is making an amazing amount of money with their new stream for their stuff. Yeah, that's definitely true. I think their stocks went up after they released Disney Plus. Ryan Sturger says, I was thinking about going in mid-May, right after my next college semester ends. Okay, that'd be good. Like, hopefully before the summer crowd is there. But again, that really depends. Like, the crowds could be low and it could be high. You never know. The Steve Meister says, pretty empty because Knott's is not even mainstreamish as Disneyland. Yeah, that's true. But if I have to be honest, and this might sound crazy for certain people, I kind of like Knott's Berry Farm better than Disneyland recently. Because I feel as though that Knott's Berry Farm definitely has a lot more charm than Disneyland has nowadays, because Disneyland has recently been doing a lot of things that kind of took away their charm. Kind of feels not 100%, but somewhat kind of feels a bit more corporate-ish, I guess, if that makes sense. And not only that, but like the story of how Knott's Berry Farm came to be. Not only that, but a couple of reasons. One, Knott's Berry Farm is cheaper than Disneyland. And I also have a pass holder for. No, I also have a season pass at Knott's Berry Farm, which is 1,000,000 times cheaper than Disney is. Like, if you want to go to Disneyland every single day, or have the ability to be able to go to Disneyland every single day with the pass hold, with their season pass hold, passport, that's gonna cost you like $1,000, over $1,000. I'm not kidding. That's with no blackout dates, over $1,000. Knott's Berry Farm, however, $78. I mean, what else can I say? And not only that, but Knott's Berry Farm also has the option of, like, if you go there after 3 o'clock, their original price is a lot cheaper than how much it would cost earlier in the day. And honestly, with Knott's Berry Farm, it's kind of unfair that people kind of always compare Knott's Berry Farm to Disney. It's not fair because it's two different parks. Not only that, but, like, it's not really comparable. Like, they're both two different things, like, it's not really fair, especially considering the fact that Disney definitely has a whole lot more money than Knott's Berry Farm. Also, they have a lot more money than Cedar Fair, I would assume. Well, yeah, most likely, because that's Cedar Fair Park is now, the company that actually owns Knott's Berry Farm. But Knott's Berry Farm has been doing a whole lot better now recently, and I've just fallen in love with the park. And it's actually great that I can go to Knott's Berry Farm and it's empty because, you can't get that at Disney, so, yeah. Also, the Steve Meister says, is Disney World crowded as Disneyland? I think Disney World's probably a lot more crowded than Disneyland. Because I think Disney World is definitely visited a lot more than Disneyland is. That is definitely a tourist attraction, mainly because it's a whole resort and it's got multiple parks. So of course, a lot of people are gonna be going there. Even though it kind of sucks because with Disney World, it rains almost every freaking day. I mean, even though I'm gonna admit there was probably only one instance, surprisingly, when I went to Disney World. I've been to Disney World like probably 4 or 5 times now, but there was only like one time when it rained when I went there. Um, which was strange. It was probably the last time I went. It was only one time it rained, which is strange, especially for Orlando. But yeah, the weather down there is not really the best all the time. So yeah, but I mean, it is what it is. But I think Disney World is definitely more crowded than Disneyland, maybe, or at least more people definitely visit Disney World, mainly because it's a much bigger place to go. Ryan Treasure says, since you've been to both, would you say you like Disneyland or Walt Disney World more? I think because Disneyland is the original, and because it is in my home state, I think I would probably have to say I like Disneyland better. I'm not gonna lie, it feels more magical in a way. Like Disney World's still great. Do not get me wrong, it's still an amazing park. If you are ever able to visit Disney World, especially if you have the money for it, visit 100%. You know, like it's a great place to go. But in my personal opinion, I think I do like Disneyland just a tiny bit better than Disney World. Even though there's things that Disney World has that are better than Disneyland's, though, but still, I kind of think personally, again, because it's in my hometown. I mean, not hometown, but in my home state. Like, I think I have to say I kind of do like Disneyland a little better, to be honest with you. All right, let's continue here. Circus Alpha says, did you know Pokemon had a musical? Like, it's so rare to find, actually. There's confirmation someone actually has those recordings. One that was released, one wasn't very good, very mute. Yeah, I know the Pokemon had a musical, which was definitely very interesting. And I did see a recording of it. I never watched the whole thing, but it was it was interesting. Like, out of all the things you would never expect to have a musical be made, Pokemon was definitely one of the ones I never saw coming. But that was back in 2000 or something like that. I don't know. My Little Pony is getting a musical on tour. Yeah, they had a couple of them. No, I think they have only had one before, maybe. So it's going to be interesting how they do this production, which comes out sometime next month, I think, or sometime just in 2020. Northwestern Railway 66 says, we had a Steven Universe musical already. It was the movie. Well, yeah, that's true. But, of course, you know, because of the SpongeBob musical, people kind of want a live action, or not really a live, but a theater production of Steven Universe musical. I don't know. Like, I haven't seen the movie, and to be honest, I'm not really all that into Steven Universe anymore. I don't know why, but I don't watch it anymore. I don't really have any interest in watching it. Kind of like, say, Steven Universe Future. Like, everyone's talking about Steven Universe Future, and we're going to see it, yada, yada, yada. It's like, I'm not really all that interested. I really don't care. In fact, obviously, it aired on the same day the SpongeBob musical was airing on Nickelodeon. And what did I have to choose? Obviously, I chose the SpongeBob musical because, again, I don't really care that much about Steven Universe anymore. Again, don't ask me why because I don't really know either, but I don't. So that's kind of the thing. Steve Meister says Space Mountain is really fun. It really is, especially if you go to the well, I don't know if they really do it anymore, but during Halloween they have this Ghost Galaxy version, and it's really fun. Like they do certain things with projections, kind of make it somewhat a little bit more scarier, but it's a very fun ride. Claudia, the thoughts on the Descendants franchise? Never really watched the movie. Not really all that interested in watching the movie. The only thing I can say is that I still can't believe that Cameron Boyce died. Like, that is still a big shock to me. Like, you'd think he would still be alive and still be doing a lot of these other movies. I mean, he's in another show that he filmed a while ago where apparently he plays a gay guy or something like that. But, like, yeah, it's sad. Like, he was only 20 and he dies. That's like, damn. And especially considering the fact that I saw him in person once before, you know, like, which was cool. But like, yeah, it's insane. But may he rest in peace. Steve Master says, "Have you met any of the the characters at Disney?" Oh hell yeah! Like, of course I have. I mean, like, shoot, when you're a kid, you gotta meet Mickey and Minnie Mouse. You gotta meet Goofy, Donald. One of my more favorite characters nowadays is Chip and Dale. Like, there's such a riot at Disneyland. It's hilarious. I remember when I was a kid, I also met I think Marie from the Aristocats. I think that's her name. It was at Epcot. I can't make a list of all the characters I've met because it's definitely been a lot of characters, but I've definitely met characters at Disney, 100%. Like I don't think anybody's ever been to Disneyland and never met any of the characters. Like I think that's kind of impossible. Let's be honest. I mean, at least if you've only been once, then maybe it's possible. But they kind of have characters almost everywhere, generally in Disney, so it's kind of impossible somewhat. Claudia says, "Have you seen the second trailer for the upcoming cartoon, the Owl House? If yes, thoughts?" No, I haven't. I gotta check that out very soon. Claudia Kringa says, "Don't forget to talk about the Annie and Golden Globe nominees." I don't know much about that, to be honest. I haven't even heard really much about any of them, to be honest. So I don't really have much thoughts on that, or don't have any, because again, don't know much about it. Um, Sarah Chris, Alpha. I said I was just gonna call you Alpha, so that's what I'm gonna do. Alpha says, "Good luck with your stream." He's with Mr. Hooper now. They acknowledged. Yeah, I kind of replied to that. That's true. Northwestern Railway says, "I mean, it started the Renaissance with Disney, so I have to respect the Little Mermaid for that." That's true. Yeah, because for a while they weren't making the best of movies, and then they came out with this, and then they hopefully we get another Disney Renaissance, because like again, with all of these live action remakes they're doing, it's just freaking annoying. And like they just need to come out with some new movies, and hopefully they can get back on track of creating some good and actual memorable movies. You know what I mean? Nicholas Jackson says, thoughts on the new Squidward spinoff coming to Netflix. Yeah, because I remember they did start talking about they're gonna do spinoffs of the of some characters on of SpongeBob, which is definitely interesting. I don't know how that's gonna go. I don't know, to be honest. Like that might be interesting, but who knows? I'm sure Squidward would probably be just a little different. Or how would they do it? Like I don't know. That's gonna be interesting. That's the only thing I can really say about it. Hopefully, they do not do a spinoff with the Patrick series, because that would have been able to work, like say back near where in the original seasons, right? Like if they were to do a spinoff and they had like Patrick having his own series, I think that definitely would have worked, because as dumb as he was back then, he wasn't insufferably dumb. You know what I mean? Like now he's like even in the newer episodes, which are still somewhat crazier than now, but like I think he somewhat is still very insufferable, especially in the Scumbob season. He was I just did not like Patrick at all. But either way, I still hope that they don't make another, like they don't make any Patrick spin-offs. If they're ever planning on it, that's just a bad idea. Like, yeah. Ryan Treasure says it opened in 2009. I'm not sure if you've been to San Francisco since then or not. Oh, I'm guessing you're talking about the Walt Disney Museum. Yeah, if it opened in 2009, most likely I haven't been there since 2009. Nicholas Jackson, what are your thoughts on Boondocks? I'm gonna try to go through this quickly so I can try to end the scene quickly. I mean, the scene. To try to end the stream kind of quickly. I don't really watch. I used to watch the show a little bit when I was younger, but I don't really watch it all that much anymore. And I guess it's still going on. If so, then that's pretty long for that series. But I don't really have that much thoughts on it, because again, I haven't really watched it all that much. So there's that. One Mikey says, "Do you still watch Paw Patrol? They are on season 6, going on season 7. Not really. Like, not that I don't like the series anymore, but it's like I don't really watch it all that much. I mean, I'll probably watch it every now and then. Even though I think the first season is still in my personal opinion, regarded as the best season of the show. And to be honest, one of the biggest reasons why I kind of don't watch the series anymore is because I just really do not like the character Mayor Humdinger. He is like the most insufferable and the most annoying character to me. Like every single time they start over with an episode, it looks normal, and then all of a sudden you see him, make an appearance doing that evil laugh, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't. I always like change the channel when I see him on. I'm like, I just really do not like the character. He is just annoying and irritating to me. I don't know if I'm the only one that thinks that way, but like he is just irritating to me. I can't stand him. But yeah, 7 seasons, like that's insane. Like it's crazy. Also, I've noticed all the voice actors have definitely changed. Like the last 2 original voice actors for the Paw Patrol team, which was Rubble and Sky, both of them were switched out with new voice actors at the same time, I think at the start of season 6. So that's interesting. I think the voice actor for Alex is also different too. Not quite sure. Yeah. Anyway, Ryan's no, you're okay. Northwestern Railway 66 says Kevin Keller in Riverdale is what not to do when you write a LGBT person, for example. I never watched Riverdale. Not really all that interested in watching Riverdale, to be honest. But if you want or if you can, explain to me why, because I'm interested to know. Let's see. Almost at the end, I think. Huh? Emily Yasha says, as annoying as the spike in rarity ship and MLP, you mean? What is that in reply to? I must have mentioned something about My Little Pony. I'm not sure. I don't know. It seems a little random, but maybe there's just something I'm missing. I don't know. Ryan's Treasures. Okay, so I'm near the end of these comments. So, alright. So, we'll be ending the stream pretty soon. Been streaming for 2 hours and 6 minutes. Damn. Okay, anyway. Ryan's Treasure says, that's what I heard too. I'm not the biggest. This is in response to me talking about the crowds at Galaxy's Edge and everything. He says, that's what I heard too. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, so I think that I might also find it very overpriced. Well, definitely. Like, yeah. I mean, shoot. It definitely is going to be overpriced. I'm not really a fan of Star Wars. I never watched any other movies, nor do I really plan on watching any of the movies, because it's just not something I'm like all that interested in, like it's just not. I think it's not really my genre, even though if I were to say watch the original trilogy, would it surprise me if I were to enjoy the movie? Probably not, but again, it's not really something that I'm all that interested in, if that makes sense. I'm not, even though I not to say I don't fully care about the franchise. Like, of course, I know about Stormtroopers and Princess Leia and Yoda, Darth Vader, and all these characters and stuff. Han Solo. Of course, I know about all these characters. But yeah, like I'm not really all that interested in Star Wars, even though. Just because I'm not that interested in Star Wars doesn't mean that I don't want to visit Galaxy's Edge. I kind of do. And a part of me kind of wants to ride the new Rise of the Resistance ride. I'm not going to be able to, because when I go to Disneyland in a couple of weeks, it's not going to be open when I'm there. So, yeah, but I kind of just want to be like immersed in the land to see how that is. Also, the same with Harry Potter. I'm not really all that interested in the series. Only watched the first movie, never read any of the books, and not really even all that interested in seeing any of the other series as well. Any of the other movies as well. But I do want to go to Universal Studios and go to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, because I definitely want to be immersed in that world and see how they do it. Because for me, it doesn't matter whether I'm into a certain franchise or a certain intellectual property at a theme park. I just want to be immersed in the world. And I also want to see how they do it. I want to be impressed. So if I were to go to Universal Studios anytime soon, which I haven't been there ever since 2014, I definitely do. And my friend Javon, he works there, so I'm gonna try to head back to Universal Studios at some point. Um, but what was I saying? But yeah, like if I were to go back to Universal Studios, I would definitely want to go to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter and visit that place. Um, yeah, because I kind of want to see the see everything and all that stuff. And again, Disneyland, I would like to go to Galaxy's Edge possibly, and see just how that world is. I mean, obviously I've seen it on YouTube, but I really want to know what it looks like in person. Now, excuse me. Obviously, I'm not going to have any emotional attachment to anything that I see when I go there. Same with when I ride any of the rides there, which is only one at the moment. But it's kind of still something that I want to experience. It's kind of about the experience to me, if anything else. So there's that. Where was I? But yeah, so. And also, I've written, like, Star Tours, the original Star Tours at Disney, and the newer, updated Star Tours ride with the 3D and the multiple scenes, and so, those are, like, so me not being into Star Wars isn't really going to stop me from going to, like, a Star Wars-related land or a Star Wars ride or anything like that, you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's kind of how it is. Alright, so Claudia Kringa says, what is your favorite original song from the Spongebob musical? Shoot. Probably, I don't know. It would either have to be I Guess I Miss You, Tomorrow Is, or probably I'm Not a Loser, I think. I mean, it's really hard to choose just one, and it's kind of hard to choose just three as well. But, because almost all the songs are very, very good. But I think those three at the moment are probably, yeah, one of my most favorites. Maybe, I don't know. Like, it's not really much that I think about, but might be. Railway 66 says, too bad I can't pull out the Medea meme here with how many times Disney's been brought up in this stream. Yeah, it's surprising how much I've been talking about Disney in this stream. I mean, mainly with Disneyland, but it's very surprising how much I was talking about it. So it's, wasn't expecting that, but yeah, that's definitely been interesting. Anyway, continuing on. Ryan Strusher says, have you seen the Casa Grandes yet? Yes, I have. Haven't seen a lot of episodes of it, but I've seen a few episodes, and from what I've seen, it's a pretty good show. I need to probably watch a lot more so I can, again, still kind of get, and maybe try to watch, probably, what am I trying to say? Might have to watch, Loud House and, the concert. Okay, interestingly, that was cut off a little bit, but not much, but, so, wasn't that bad. But either way, haven't really watched the series too much, so I kind of want to maybe try to watch them back to back to kind of somewhat compare them and see if one does something better, if it's too similar or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, so there's that. Ryan Treasure says, do you have any favorite restaurants at Disneyland? Not really. I mean, because it's been a while since I've actually eaten there at Disneyland, to be honest. And a lot of places that you eat at Disney would always kind of sometimes have the same thing, like burgers and whatnot. Kind of like the simple, typical theme park restaurants, food and all that stuff. But recently when I would go to Disneyland, like probably the past 4 times I've gone to Disneyland, I haven't really eaten there. Or, I mean, I think I have, but I just don't really remember where I have eaten. Now, this technically isn't part of Disneyland, I guess, part of the theme park, but I guess I could basically mention it. In Downtown Disney. Also, Ryan, you might want to visit Downtown Disney. I would recommend it as well. If you do happen to visit Downtown Disney, which is honestly like right next to Disneyland anyway, you should go to this restaurant called Black Tap. Their food there is pretty good, but also try one of their shakes. Now, their shakes are expensive, but it's called Crazy Shakes, and I went there. My mom took me to downtown Disney, and we went to Black Tap for my birthday because she also wanted to try one of the crazy shakes, and I had the birthday crazy shake, and it was nuts. They had the frosting outside of on the outside of the cup. They also had like this big a slice of a birthday cake on top of the top of the milkshake. It was a lot. I couldn't finish the whole thing. I finished all of the milkshake, but I couldn't finish the cake because it was a lot. I ate a lot of food, but it was it was nuts. But yeah, man, like, or even if you go to Black Tap and you don't have any of their food, at least try one of their crazy shakes. It's honestly pretty good. It's crazy, hence the name, but it's definitely worth trying out. So anyway, let's continue here. Jessica Shulman says, I did hear the answer to all of my questions because I was here. Okay, so whether you said you did hear it or you didn't hear it, then all right. One Mikey19 says, I agree, bro. Mayor Humdinger is so annoying and a big crybaby. I even hate his kittens. Yeah. As cute as his kitten catastrophe is, they're also annoying. But yeah, the dude is also a very huge crybaby. Like, he is just irritating, which again is why I don't really watch the series all that much, because he's in almost every single goddamn episode. It's like, Christ. It's annoying. Anyway, last two episodes, what am I talking about? Last two comments here, and then I think I'll end it. Northwestern Railway 66 says, have you... What the hell? Okay, that was weird. Says, have you heard about the Twitter meme that's trending about people having a canceling party over Sonic? No, that's completely new to me. People are having a canceling party over Sonic? Why? I mean, was that currently trending, or is it currently trending now, or what? I mean, I'm kind of going on Twitter now to see if it is. Because I certainly haven't heard of it. Like, if you're still watching before I end the stream, please tell me why apparently there was a cancel party on Twitter over Sonic. Like, I don't get it. Like, you're gonna have to explain that to me again hopefully before I end the stream. But yeah, the one thing I will say is I am kind of getting tired of all these, like, canceling parties on Twitter that I see. Like, I see a lot of these people always typing, oh, this celebrity here is over party, and it's like, the fuck? You know, like, a lot of times it'll just be K-pop fans just saying, this so-and-so is canceled party, or so-and-so is over party. And it's like, oh my god, just shut up. You guys are so annoying. And again, it's usually K-pop members. Why? Because somebody doesn't like BTS. And it's like, I don't get it. It's like, yeah. Now, they recently did that with, like, H3H3, and at first, like, I was like, okay, what the hell? Like, that's just dumb. You're canceling him because he doesn't like K-pop? Like, come on. But apparently, like, I guess it had something to do. Okay, search Sonic is over party and hashtag, or I'll do that. But apparently it had to do with the fact that, I guess, he didn't like the K-pop fandom, or he was making fun of people. I really have, like, no clue, but it's just so freaking weird. Okay, Sonic is over. Let's kick his ass. Sonic, finally this blue flagg's gonna pay. So I'm guessing there's a picture or something. Let's take a look. Oh, what the fuck? Okay, that's weird. I mean, clearly, yeah, it just says semen, and Sonic is up above the... I mean, okay, so that's kind of like a joke, I guess. It's weird. I mean, clearly I can see that it has more, it's more than just that word. I mean, Lord knows what it actually says, but yeah, that's honestly kind of, it's weird, but it's honestly kind of funny. But yeah, what was it I was talking about before? But yeah, like, this whole thing with, like, the cancel culture on Twitter is honestly kind of getting out of control. Like I can somewhat understand it when it came to like the H3H3 situation where I guess he talked bad about the K-pop group, but it's like it's annoying, which is exactly why I don't have Twitter. Twitter is filled with toxic people. Jessica Schulman says I forgot the word not. Which question? I think I answered most of your questions, or if not all of them. So yeah, if anything, you would have to kind of go back further in the stream to try to catch that, because I am actually going to try to end the stream in a couple of minutes. Yeah. Oh, okay. And Ryan Treasures says, actually, before I do that, Northwestern Railway says it's a joke, though this time. Okay, good. At least, yeah. I mean, obviously, after seeing that picture, it's like, yeah, that's definitely a joke. So, yeah, that's crazy. And Ryan's Treasures, that will be the last comment that I'm going to be replying to, says, thanks for letting me know. I will definitely try to get one of their shakes when I go. Okay, definitely. Again, highly recommended. It is somewhat kind of expensive, but when you see those shakes, it's definitely, you definitely know why it costs so much. Like, it's not like it costs $30. It costs like probably around $14, maybe $12 for one of those shakes. But again, if you go to Black Tap and you don't go there for the food, at least try their shakes, man. It's a restaurant that started in New York. So it's a New York City based restaurant, but the food is good and their shakes are honestly very good too. Like it is highly recommended to try it. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, I think that is going to do it for this stream, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for joining. Again, there is a video that will be coming out tomorrow. I'm most likely gonna have to. First, Jessica Shulman says the K-pop fandom can be mean. I don't know why. It's a good point. I think it's because it's just a bunch of younger teenage girls, and trust me, young teenage girls are always crazy when it's on when they're on online. Like, have you seen the Justin Bieber fandom in his heyday? Oh my God, they were insufferable. Like it doesn't surprise me if it's the same thing with K-pop, with the K-pop fandom. But anyway, yeah. But there's gonna be a video coming out tomorrow. If it's finished by tonight, I'm gonna most likely schedule a posting because I'm not gonna get home until 3 o'clock. So I'm probably going to. I don't know. I might have a schedule posted for it, and I might just post it when I get home. I really have honestly no idea. But either way, we're adults who like K-pop. Who knows? But yeah. Either way, look out for a video. Most likely coming out tomorrow. And if it doesn't come out tomorrow, maybe sometime on Thursday. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, yeah. And again, I'm keeping it a surprise. You will find out what the video will be tomorrow. But anyway, again, I thank you guys so much for joining the stream. Almost been going for about 2 hours and 30 minutes. It's 2 hours and 22 minutes now. But that did not expect that. I think it's probably one of the longest streams I've done, unless I've done a lot longer. I'm not quite sure. Either way, but yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do another stream anytime soon. It's possible. Very possible. I don't know. We'll see. But until then, we'll see you guys next time. Oh, also, again, let me put, I think I still have the link here. Yeah. Again, check out the podcast, the Bun Bun Podcast. Again, you can find it on Spotify, Breaker, Public Host, Public, what was it called? Radio Public. Yeah, Breaker, Google Podcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Spotify. You can find it on those 5 other sites, and Anchor, which is where I mainly distribute all the podcasts there. So if you want to check it out, I talk about almost anything here. Some personal stuff, some more topics that I talk there more than I do about this on this channel. So if you want to check it out and see what I talk about and listen to some of the other episodes I posted out there, feel free to do that and let me know how you guys enjoy it. But yeah, so again, look out for the video that will be coming out either tomorrow or Thursday, and I will see you guys later. Again, thank you guys so much for watching the stream, and remember, you are hearing it from You're hearing it from a regular bunny in a regular world. Peace out. And no, actually, hold on for just a quick second. Northwestern Railway 66 says Justin Bieber's a better person nowadays. Maybe. Maybe he is. I don't know. I still do not like the guy. I'm not. I still don't like the guy. He may be better just a little bit, but I still see him as a douchebag, to be honest. Also, Jessica says, I meant there's adults who like K-pop. I mean, I'm sure there is, but I wonder if like the majority of the K-pop fandom is little girls. I mean, teenage girls. It wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. But yeah, but again, gotta end the stream here because again, I want to make some dinner and I also gotta get ready for work. So even though I'm not, well, I got like 3 or 4 more hours until I go to bed anyway. But yeah, but either way, again, thank you guys so much for joining the stream, and until next time, we'll see you guys later. And remember, you're hearing it from a regular bunny in a regular world. Peace out, and as always, thanks for watching. Take care.